I can manipulate the booty flakes people ass crack. However, though,
spray.
What's up, everybody? It is True Sage, and yes, it is pronounced True Sage. This is all 16 cursed devil fruits explains. As of recently, I've been kind of decided to take a little step back from some of the One Piece lore. Let's talk about the devil fruits, as devil fruits are some of the most interesting things about One Piece. I'm not foreign to the realm of reacting to videos involving devil fruits. I did one earlier this year. I just did one recently about reacting to devil fruits. So, and without any further ado, if you should subscribe right after that, we can get straight to the video.
Of One Piece, which to explain, all devil fruits, yes, are considered curses, but even among them, these particular fruits are on a different level, a bad level, because partaking in magical fruit will always result in losing the ability to swim. That's a common curse.
We know that.
Eating one of these 15 fruits in particular comes at a much greater cost that will change your life, and almost certainly not for the better. And we begin with Wapol's Baku Baku no Mi, the Munch Munch fruit, a very misunderstood ability because
Ice Spice, the Munch Munch fruit. Let me stop.
It is somehow much better and ever so much worse than people remember. This fruit allows its user to eat literally anything, especially if it's inedible. And it does this by strengthening Wapol's teeth, digestive system, and allowing him to unhinge his mouth wide open to fit wherever he wants in his grotesque gob. But you do need to ask the question, even if you did have the ability to eat anything, why would you want to do it? Well, you might want to do it because Wapol can use the objects or people he's eaten to augment his own body, and quite literally use the philosophy of you are what you eat. And Wapol can even utilize his body as a biological factory to poop out new things using those materials.
Alright, this picture has to be dead. Is this not just Wario? I'm not going to say Kirby. Is this not just what Wario does? By this same logic, Wario has the Munch Munch fruit. Also, this is just like a regular devil fruit ability. This is specifically 16 cursed devil fruits. So is it like an inner lower explanation for why these devil fruits specifically are a different level of curse, or is he just using curse loosely as far as just like odd, weird devil fruits?
Which is actually amazing. I really cannot emphasize just how powerful these abilities are, and this would be without a doubt one of the best devil fruits in all of the One Piece, if not for this tiny, horrifically debilitating curse. The catch with the Baku Baku no Mi is that it makes the user perpetually hungry. After consuming this fruit,
that's to be expected.
Know the feeling of satisfaction again, because whatever he eats is never enough. He always has to move on to the next thing, and then the next thing after that, and the next.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, but that's to be expected with this kind of fruit.
The rest of his life. It is torture. At any given time, Wapol is only about 30 minutes away from starving. So that is the dominant thing on his mind at all moments. He has to be thinking about his immediate next meal. So it's a fantastic power, but it comes at a much greater cost, and that is only the first of these cursed fruits.
Okay, I'm understanding now why this is 16 cursed fruits. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Dr. Vegapunk's very fun to say Nomi Nomi Nomi, which you may figure out by looking at him means brain fruit. This is another high power, high cost trade-off because, get this right, with this ability you can learn and retain an indefinite amount of information. Every new piece of information that you encounter will be engraved and never forgotten. However, every time you learn something new, your brain will physically increase in size as an act of storing that new information. And that probably doesn't sound so bad on a micro scale.
Why's that too bad?
No, not a lot of damage. Not a lot of damage done there. But let's say that you ate this fruit. Did you know that the Palace of Versailles had no toilets when it was first built? At any given time, King Louis XIV had like 1,000 guests staying there, and they had nowhere to go. So they ended up going in the gardens, and when the gardens were full, guests just dropped their leavings in the hallway. You now know that, and you cannot forget it. And to add insult to injury, knowing that,
I get it.
And this isn't just restricted to fun facts. Information is, well, it's everything. Knowing that grass is green is information. And it doesn't have to be true either. Misinformation is also information. And the more you learn, whether it be true or false, all contributes towards your newfound colossal noggin, and thus it is one of the extremely rare devil fruits that I think actively encourages people not to use it as much as humanly possible.
Okay, this one isn't as bad as the last one, because you can still live.
Genuine curse. And to prove that, Vegapunk's solution for this was to rather brutally cut the top part of his head off and let it grow separately in a giant brain tank thanks to fictional science. So he got lucky, but if anyone else had eaten this fruit, they would be screwed. Let's look at things on a much smaller scale now, like say Princess Manchette and her lovely healing devil fruit, the Chiyo Chiyo no Mi, because it's astounding to think that such a horrible curse can be found in this adorable, innocent widow Tontuatwa. It's a very simple ability. Manchette can heal people with her tears, so she can do a whole lot of good, but only if she cries, which is already a bit tragic, but it does get worse. Because look, you don't need to be sad to cry, you just need some onions and a willingness to endure some eye-searing pains, but
what's the catch?
extreme use, this devil fruit also shortens Mancherry's own lifespan. So to use
Oh,
your
okay.
powers against
I'm thinking the catch was gonna be some shit like, I don't know, your tears can heal people, but shit, your saliva kills people. But fuck no, your tears heal people, but you're gonna die. Yeah, I don't think so.
you need to sacrifice part of your life. So that That's not amazing, especially if other people find out about your powers, which is what led Mancherry to being captured by the Don Quixote family, who used her as a healing battery in emergencies, always finding new and inventive ways to make her cry those sweet, sweet healing tears at the cost of not only Mancherry's personal distress, but also her lifespan. But let's change course for a bit.
That one is
Bill, user of the Gutsu Gutsu no Mi, or the Smelt fruit. This one
Smelt.
It's weird. It allows Bill to turn his stomach into a furnace, which he can then use to do all sorts of furnacey things, like craft molten blades, with the slightly off-putting restriction that he always needs to bury his hands deep in his stomach cavity in order to smith his tools.
That's not that bad.
Very odd, but the curse of this fruit is more of a narrative curse. I personally don't like devil fruits like this because it fits really well into this annoying trend of non-canon devil fruits, which, excuse the pun, boil down to the idea of, my body is very hot and you, main character, cannot touch me because of it. This concept has been done so many times in non-canon One Piece, and it just never works. Because we have Bill with the Gutsu Gutsu no Mi, and then there's also Lambor Bikini from the premiere show that uses this exact same devil fruit, has the same name and everything, but also characters like Don Aquino, Bear King, Wilder, and admittedly the very canon Charlotte Oven, all of whom have variants of the hot body concept. I don't know,
I get what
it's
you're
really
saying.
boring to keep going back.
Body furnace, too hot, can't touch him. Okay, but I like to imagine that with hockey, you would be touchable, right? Would he not be touchable with hockey, even still? I mean, I know you have a body of a furnace, but you cannot tell me that if you have advanced hockey, you wouldn't be able to touch them.
Back to this very dry well, especially since none of the hot body characters have ever been in any way successful. So it really is the wrong One Piece trope to keep trying, and it essentially dooms whichever character has this power to a life of mediocrity, and thus the Gutsu Gutsu no Mi is a narratively cursed fruit. But what's that I hear?
Narrative
want a
cursed
sexy
fruit.
ninja fruit? Well, here is Shinobu, one of Wano's most deadly masters of both ninjutsu and seduction, who comes equipped with the rather cursed Juku Juku no Mi, meaning ripe fruit, which allows Shinobu to age and decay anything she touches. It's quite useful.
That sounds
ninja.
pretty
No
interesting.
worries, mate. You just de-age the wall next to you. It decays. It's an exit. And you're free. However, it's a cursed devil fruit because it is incredibly dangerous. As with objects, it's designed for destruction, but it can also affect living beings. Under the right circumstances, with a mere touch, Shinobu can age someone out of existence entirely. Unlike, say, Jewelry Bonnie's devil fruit, which has a similar function, she can also age people up. However, that eventually wears off, whereas Shinobu's aging cannot be undone. So even when used in the best case scenario, this fruit is still a curse. It was used during Wano to age Momonosuke by 20 years so that he could carry Luffy back to Onigashima, meaning that he is now an 8-year-old boy stuck in the body of a 28-year-old man. He had 2 decades of his life erased in the snap of a finger.
Okay, that's bad, but again, we had worse. The worst ones on this list so far is the first one, where you're just always hungry, and then the one where, you know, you're losing your fucking life for your tears. But this one isn't as bad. This is probably like, I think this one is probably like the second. It's, I don't know if it's even worse than the one with the brain. I don't know.
A touch of a ninja. And that is the good use of this fruit. This is the action that led to our positive outcome. So this is not a devil fruit to be used without extremely careful consideration, because its effects cannot be undone, and in the best case scenario, you have property damage, but in the worst case scenario, you can completely destroy or even erase people's lives. That's why you've always got to be careful when deciding to gorge yourself on mystery fruit, because even the most well-established abilities can have hidden curses, such as the basic Zoan fruits used by the Boa sisters, Marigold and Sanderson.
I want them both. Anyways, this is why I would be too afraid to eat a devil fruit in One Piece, because I'm gonna want some cool ass fucking devil fruit like Luffy's or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Katakuris. Instead, I'm gonna get the fucking booty flake juice fruit. And it's gonna allow me to like fucking manipulate the booty flakes in niggas' ass cracks and stuff like that. But it's gonna be a cursed fruit. I can manipulate the booty flakes people's ass crack. However, though, the more I manipulate their funky ass crack flakes, the more my asshole begins to shut so I can't poop. I don't know. That's just kind of my luck I'm gonna get. Anyways,
the Hebi no Mi model Anaconda and the model King Cobra, which allow the sisters to transform into snakes and their respective snake human human hybrid forms. So it's really basic Zoan stuff, but with a twist. Because usually when you eat a Zoan type fruit, you have the option of remaining in your base human form, the form you were in before you ate the fruit. However, it appears that consuming these two particular Zoans inflicts certain permanent properties of a snake onto their users, such as Boa Sandersonia's forked tongue. And that makes sense because these fruits are intentionally designed to be somewhat cursed, because the Boa sisters, also known as the Gorgon sisters, all take inspiration from the cursed Gorgons of Greek mythology. So I can see why Oda decided to make their effects more permanent than your average Zoan, and compared to some of the other cursed fruit that we've explored, it's far from the worst curse that could be inflicted. Although in Sandersonia's case, it is a bit unfortunate, having an ability that transforms her into the famously good at swimming anaconda, given that she also can't swim as a result of eating the fruit, but it is what it is. For a
It's not that bad, I guess.
It's always worth mentioning Kaku's giraffe Zoan devil fruit, which, if nothing else, is cursed with the sheer awkwardness of becoming a giraffe. This is not an easy new life to come to terms with, and we saw Kaku really struggle with this in real time. He ate the fruit and then was almost instantly thrown into combat with the Straw Hats. And to his credit, Kaku is a master assassin, and I think easily one of the best fruit users in the series, for making this work anywhere near as well as he did, but adjusting to giraffedom took a lot of time, and were it not in the hands of someone who had meticulously trained and understood his body beforehand, it would have been a disaster. Some devil fruits are just bad rolls unless you have the prerequisite skills or knowledge to make use of them. And a fantastic example of that would be Douglas Bullett's Gusha Gusha fruit, which is an onomatopoeia that roughly translates to clank clank. So this is a difficult one to explain, but at its core, it allows Bullet to disassemble and reassemble objects. The reason
That sounds really fucking useful.
The extent of the fruit is because Douglas Bullet is an awakened fruit user. Ooh. So his abilities extend beyond the base function of the fruit and allow him to invoke borderline alchemy style sorcery. There's very little
I'm listening.
he can't do,
This
because
one
he
sounds
is a
pretty
One
dope.
Piece movie villain, and this fruit is designed for spectacle, which allows him to create all sorts of questionably animated 3D structures that are very good at doing very big punching. Don't be mistaken by what you see Bullet do in One Piece Stampede though. This fruit is not as good as it looks, because the strict requirement to being able to make use of the Gash Gash no Mi is a solid understanding of engineering. Douglas Bullet cannot magically craft whatever his imagination desires, like say Luffy and Gear.
Oh.
Now, Bullet needs to understand the logistics of how these objects are being built. And
That's kind of like Momo's quirk in My Hero Academia, because I'm pretty sure I watched My Hero Academia, but her quirk, she can like actually create anything, but she needs to understand the actual like structures of the atoms and shit like that. It's like that, except for Momo's quirk, it's even harder because he needs to understand how to actually build it. But Momo's in My Hero, she just know the actual like breakdown of the molecules and shit. But this one right here it's useful if you're intelligent. I mean, if you went to like a trade school, you'll probably be top tier. But you know what I'm saying? Nah, this one ain't bad. This is pretty good. Just go to a trade school, man. I don't know. Go to like LSU or ULM or some shit. Yeah, you'll be alright.
Do that within the restrictions of the materials.
Those are not trade schools, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Complex mental schematics for whatever he's conjuring, or very simply, his objects will fail to function. So the amount of engineering knowledge one needs to make use of this fruit in the way the Bullet does in the movie is nigh on impossible. And so to most people, this fruit is a curse because it comes with the promise of potentially godlike power, maybe, but with the barrier of never being able to access it due to needing to open a book and study. And
having to go to school.
And so many books, mate. Well, no one's doing that. I know there's probably a few people watching who are like, look, man on the internet, I am an engine, and I could use this fruit to revolutionize society overnight. And that may be true. There are a lot of disgustingly smart people who watch this channel for some reason. I'm sorry to track you down to my level. But the vast, and I mean vast majority of us uncultured swine could never even hope to make use of the most basic forms of this ability, because some fruits just require a restrictive level of brain power, and they're not always this complicated either. Because I would say the same for the seemingly simple fruit, the Kira Kira no Mi, which is Jozu's delightful Twinkle Twinkle fruit, named due to the twinkles produced by all of the him when he uses it to turn parts of his body into diamond. As one of the hardest substances in the world, this gives Jozu one of the greatest defensive diamond. As
No.
due to the twinkles produced by all of the him when he uses it to turn parts of his body into diamonds.
This is the most interesting character concept I think I've ever seen. Dog, this is like peak One Piece character. This is pinnacle peak One Piece. All right, man.
One of the hardest
All right,
substances in the
man.
world,
Do
this
your
gives
duty, bro.
Jozu one of the greatest defensive devil fruits in One Piece. And also offensive if he can use it to hit people. But that second part is where the curse comes in. A lot of people go through One Piece without realizing this, but after Jozu turns part of his body into diamond, it becomes diamond. What a twist. But diamond is not a flexible substance, and so whatever body part Jozu chooses to transform becomes frozen. And
Oh,
that's
he
why
can't
his
even
main
move
attack
it?
is to morph part of his body and then use the unfrozen bits to charge it into an opponent. It's called Brilliant Punk, and it's currently Jozu's only canon attack, because realistically it is so hard to do anything with this fruit. So imagine trying to fight an opponent, but one of your arms is just frozen in the air like
That's
that.
crazy. I think that's fucking
However you
funny.
want. It doesn't matter.
The older
Arm is
actor
locked
decide
into
to use
place.
real
This
life
is
logic
not
like
easy,
that.
and that's what Jozu does. Which also means that he can't even make full use of the fruit, because if he transforms his legs, then he can't really move at all. Which is why this is a fruit that sounds great on paper, but the physical
execution
and
is
mental
horrible.
ingenuity it would require to make decent use of this power is not something your average person would be able to pull off. Unlike Buggy, who takes pulling himself off to the next level with the Bara Bara no Mi, the chop chop fruit that allows him to separate parts of his body, including his
Okay, we know
penis,
this,
which
but
was
what's
highlighted
the?
by
I'm
Nova
sorry.
Shiro.
That just gave me an idea. What if Bucky just decided to have his penis fly? Anyways, what's the curse behind this though?
In the
But
SPS
I know how it
episode,
works.
12
But
has need to know information. The curse of this fruit is that you need to be insanely cautious with regards to how you use it. Because if you just get out there and you split yourself up like some kind of clown, then you're going to end up losing body bits.
Oh,
In the
yeah,
series,
you do have to
Bucky
have all
had
your
a
bits.
whole arc of his own where he had to cobble together a makeshift body out of whatever he had left and search the seas for the rest of what was once attached to him. Meanwhile, one of Buggy's partners in crime,
You're right.
Alvida,
You're right.
is the curious
You're right.
Sube Sube.
I mean, I knew that because I think I reacted to Luffy versus Buggy, and I saw that Buggy just kind of had to assemble the body parts that he had. But I kind of thought there was gonna be like another curse by other than the fact of, you know, if you lose a body part, you're gonna have to go find it. I thought it was gonna be a curse even deeper than that, but I knew that already.
Which makes her ultra slippery, which is both a blessing and a curse. A blessing because this is genuinely one of the strongest defenses in all of One Piece. Any attack aimed at Alvida will slip right off her body. Fists, swords, bullets, nothing can non-consensually penetrate her. But the trade-off is that Alvida now spends every moment of her life as if she's covered in water and soap in a
Oh, that's
she will never
fucking
again know the
crazy.
joys of sturdy hands, a concept irrelevant to Vanderdecken and his Mato Matonomi or Mark fruit. So this isn't so much a curse to the fruit user, but to whoever the user decides to touch and imprint. After being touched by Vanderdecken, his hand memorizes the person, and he is able to target them with an object thrown from anywhere at any time and have that object heat seek the target. And for this reason, his
Aimbot?
target, Princess Shirahoshi, had to be locked in a tower for 10 years to avoid all of the axes and such that Vanderdecken constantly threw at her. But it is also a bit of a curse for the user, because once the user has touched a target, that hand can no longer touch anything else or it will imprint a new target. So
Oh,
just be aware
damn.
that
So what'd he do?
Vanderdecken probably hasn't washed this hand in 10 years, and he further cursed himself by eating a devil fruit in the first place, given that he is a fishman. And again, self-cursing, not all that uncommon in One Piece, with two perfect examples being Charlotte, Opera, and Treble, no last name, who possess Paramecia-type devil fruits that allow them to generate cream and mucus respectively. The mucus one is already not great for obvious reasons. I mean, it is really powerful, but it comes at great social cost. However, both Treble and Opera inexplicably use their devil fruits to coat themselves in cream and mucus at all times. I really want to hammer home that they don't have to do this. This is a choice that they have both made. And as for the weirdest, most specific, weirdly cursed devil fruit in all of One Piece, that belongs to Bounty, the primary antagonist of the 2018 One Piece premiere show, who has the Bana Bana no Mi. So you might not immediately realize this, but that fruit name is mostly in English, because Bana is the closest the Japanese can come to saying the word burner, which, you guessed it, yes, makes this yet another hot body fruit. Bounty can set his body on fire and stuff. However, this one comes with the insane restriction that Bounty can only generate heat in direct correlation to his level of jealousy. So if Bounty is just a normal person having a fairly decent day, then he cannot activate his devil fruit. He actively needs to engage in the emotional depths of jealousy, and not only jealousy, but pretty serious jealousy, to get any real power out of it.
You know how hard that is? Motherfucker, you have to be fighting your feelings 24/7.
Essentially talking cheating spouse levels of jealousy to reach the full potential of this fruit. And any devil fruit that requires its user to engage in fictional cuckoldry is almost certainly going to be labeled.
Or you can get cooked. That's an option too.
Ah,
yes, that fruit. So you can actually find a logical reason to get cooked. I think one of the most interesting fruits on this list was the one where you can essentially like recreate and build anything, but you need to actually understand the structure of what you're building. That one, I think probably, I don't know if it has like I don't know, because some of the curses on here was bad, and that curse is bad too. But I think that may be the best fruit on this list because it's a curse, yeah, but at least the other curses, there's like nothing you can do. It's just kind of an asterisk put on your fruit. But that one, it's just less of an asterisk and a curse and more of just a barrier where you can, I'm not gonna say easily pass it, but if you would have put enough effort, I mean, you can just learn this shit and then boom, there you go. But yeah, for the average person, it's kind of a curse. For a nigga like me though, it's still a curse because I don't want to go to trade school, bro. That's why I'm doing this shit now. Anyways though, man, let me know in the comment section down below. What do y'all think is the worst devil fruit in One Piece? And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button. Does this help people? It helps you too. YCC content similar to this one. If you guys did subscribe me, I appreciate it a lot. If you guys didn't, I guess just part ways. Either way I go, I'm out. Y'all keep it easy, and I'm gone. Peace.
That's all it is, man. Leap of faith.